Australian native fauna and flora is at risk due to the red imported fire ant. This topic was chosen because it's a local issue and has been highly publicised by social media, television, and local newspapers. The red imported fire ant is native to South America. It has become a pest in the southern United States, Thailand, Taiwan, the Philippines, Hong Kong, southern China, New Zealand, and Australia. Several species of ants are in the top 100 of global invaders, and the red imported fire ant is the greatest threat to native mammals, herpetofauna, and birds. The biodiversity of Australian native fauna and flora is at risk due to the discovery of the fire ant in the port of Brisbane in 2001. The common link for this importation was international container shipping. The methodology used to find valuable resource material for this topic was from the internet. The Bing search engine was used to find Australian government websites, local reports. The next search engine was Google Scholar. It was to find peer-reviewed scholarly articles. Also using Boolean search, the 5 elements of syntax with keywords was used. The only issue was not enough information on Australian native species that have been impacted by the red imported fire ant due to its relatively recent importation to Australia. The red imported fire ant arrived in America in the 1930s and it had spread to over 275 million acres, threatening native fauna, invertebrate species, ground animals, and becoming the dominant predator, unsettling the food chain. Australia has many ground animals and birds that are vulnerable and endangered species. Biosecurity Queensland have been collaborating with experts from the United States of America to help eradicate this aggressive, invasive pest. The Department of Environment and Energy confirmed the reduction in biodiversity of Australian native ground fauna due to the red imported fire ant. It is recommended to include threats of the fire ants to native flora and plant species through direct grazing on seedlings, but perhaps more significantly via indirect efforts due to the impacts on insects and seed dispersal, pollination, and germination. Native bird species that have ground-based feeding habits and species within 1 metre above the ground may also be at risk. The potential impacts of the fire ant in Australia are essentially unknown. The Department of Environment and Energy confirmed that 13 endangered Australian bird species, 14 vulnerable bird species, and more than 10 unlisted species. The Biosecurity Queensland have a treatment program in place for the eradication of fire ants, and they also have a fire ant school education program. The Australian Curriculum Year 4 ACSSU 072 Biological Science Living Things Have Life Cycles was best suited to this topic. The content description for this was observing predator-prey relationship, plants provide shelter, roles of living things, and effects when living things in feeding relationships are removed or die in an area. Thank you for listening to me.